Hello and welcome to Rosa Laura. If this is your first time visiting the channel, it's so lovely to meet you. And if you're returning, it's so wonderful to have you back. My name is Rosa, I'm a digital artist, and today I'm working on something just for me. I saw this meme kind of like floating around the internet, or should I say I saw it floating around like a couple of months ago, of this beautiful chapter cover from Witch Hat Atelier? Atelier? Atelier, I think is how I saw it said. Atelier, since it is French. I believe it means like a French workshop. This Witch Hat Atelier chapter cover, which I loved. And I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with it at first, but I knew immediately upon seeing it that I wanted to do something with it. The concept looked so immediately arresting, with this character sort of shielding layers of themselves. Now, I haven't read the manga. I have it on good authority from one of my friends that it is absolutely fantastic. And I've seen people kind of compare it tonally to sort of like not the heaviness, but sort of like the quality of Dungeon Meshi, which I loved reading. So I definitely want to give it a try in the future. But the idea of the shielding of the layers of self, or the true self being hidden underneath all of these layers, the concept immediately drew me in, and I knew I wanted to play around with it myself. I have a lot of characters that mean a lot to me, but the character that I've had the most chance to roleplay as recently in my Dungeons & Dragons campaign is Knaphe. I know I've drawn her a lot on the channel, but that's not going to stop. I love my OC, and that is just going to be how it is for now. I actually miscounted the number of picture layers that were in the original. I think there's 5. I actually ended up only tracing 4, and also kicking myself in the gut because I made my canvas way too small. When I was done with this piece, one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should totally print this for yourself." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." And then I looked at the dimensions and it was like an A5. Nothing wrong with A5 art, but I was like, for the amount of detail that's in this and for the scale of what's going on, the idea of printing it as an A5 was really sad. So I ended up giving up on the idea of printing it. The DPI resolution is 300, so maybe there's a chance, but I don't want to get my hopes up. In any case, I went through this pretty meticulously, working from the innermost layer to the outermost layer. A couple of these pieces are actually inspired by or homages to pieces of Knaphe that I already drew, some of which are on the channel and some of which are not. The innermost layer is actually a picture of Knaphe dead. The innermost side of Knaphe, or her secret side, is that she is secretly dead, which seems like a perfectly fitting innermost self. She is surrounded by sort of like this water, and she's floating, she's bleeding. The second most layer of Knaphe is the feral self, the protective self. She is going to get through any situation that comes for her. She is going to defend herself from all comers. And there's actually a little bit of a visual sort of like callback to, I think it's called The Fall of Lucifer, where he has the one eye and there's like a little tear. I was really channeling that as I was going through that piece. The third layer is the noble in Knaphe. Knaphe was raised to be a noble. She was supposed to do all of these things for her family. And so I think that after, the true self and then the feral self that sort of protects that part at all costs, there's the idea of almost like the ego, the part of the brain that wants to have that sense of honor and identity. So that went next. She has her family's crest on one of her pauldrons, and she looks a little bit more worried about her situation, which I think is fitting. And then on the outermost layer, we have the Knaphe that we know and love today. She is holding, of course, in her hand, silvery little thing, her trusty rapier. She's looking at the viewer, which is actually different than the original meme. In the original cover for Witch Hat Atelier, the character is looking down at all the reflections of self. But Knaphe is a very confrontational character, and she, I think, challenges people a little socially. So I wanted to have her looking more at the viewer than at her innermost self, especially because I think that she hasn't fully come to terms with all of those different layers yet. It felt only right for her, and feels like a really big step to make a piece like this that is this big. I've been doing a lot of lineless rendering lately, so in making this piece, I had to make the decision on whether or not I was going to do something lined. The original piece has this beautifully delicate line work in it with this sort of, it's almost like a cross between hatching and stippling. There's some of these really delicate little lines that go with the shading, but there's a lot of points where they break, so it's almost like a broken hatching. And I looked at that and I was like, well, I don't want to kind of take away from the essence of redrawing this by making it all really smoothly rendered, even if I introduce my own kind of texture to it. I think I want to try and go for a fully lined look. And when it comes to Knaphe, that means that I had to draw a lot of hair. It's fun in that in looking at the whole piece, it looks like at the center the lines almost don't exist because they are so dense, but I tried to keep all of the hair strands in proportion, size-wise, from the smallest version of this picture to the largest version of this picture. And I think I was able to accomplish that, which I'm very happy with. Speaking of little accomplishments and feeling like I've done a lot of progression, as of time of recording, this channel has 88 subscribers, and I'm really grateful for all of you guys that are here watching me make art, and I hope that you've really enjoyed my commentary and the things that I have to say both on the OCs and pieces of art that I've done for clients on this channel, as well as the art that I like to make just for me. If there's something that you'd like to see me make in the future, or there's a question that you have about the things that I do or why I do things the way that I do in my art, please don't feel afraid to ask in the comments or just ask a question on one of the little public posts that I make, or even contacting me over on Blue Sky. There is a link in the description if you'd like to chat with me on there. It's been a really fun ride, and I know that the channel is still very small. We haven't broke 100 subscribers yet, but I just want to say that I'm really grateful for those of you who tune in and listen to me talk about art, and I hope that for any other artists out there, it's good inspiration for you, or it helps you not feel so alone when you go to make art on your own. Once we get to the color, it starts going pretty quick, which is definitely a habit for me. For the second version of Knaphe, where she is clutching the innermost version, I actually got to do some color picking from that original picture that I did of her, which made the process so much easier. If I just figure out the color palette earlier, then I don't have to do it later. The color palette for the third picture, where she's noble, actually had a little bit more of a subdued feel to it. I tried to use the blue in the background to help do the shading on her face, which gives this odd, cooler undertone to her skin that's not usual for Knaphe. Usually her skin has a very sort of peachy pink undertone to it all. Though interestingly enough in this piece, I think you only really get that in the outermost layer. As always, shading armor is so much fun. It takes a couple of different layers of multiply and add glow to kind of get that shine that I really like. And of course, I had to make my life harder at the last minute by insisting that I add tassels to both of the pauldrons because I thought it would be more dramatic. But that's just me. The Weird thing about this piece is outermost Knaphe is that the idea of these red gloves are something that I've drawn on her multiple times, but I've never purchased in canon. The archery bracers that she has on are the little brown straps that you see on her forearms. You don't actually see the bracers because they're supposed to protect the inner arm, and in this picture we're seeing the outer arm because they're not made for fending off attacks from a sword or a dagger from the outside. They're to protect her arms when she's shooting arrows to make sure that she doesn't cut herself. So I think that's a really nice little detail of her outfit to me that I like. The coloring on her outermost outfit comes really naturally to me. I've been drawing Knaphe in the gold, indigo, and crimson for a very long time at this point. It's been multiple years since we started this campaign, and the idea of these sort of silken puffy sleeves are like another home to me. Adding the shine always makes me so happy, and what makes me even happier is doing detailing on Silvery Little Thing. I think in this picture, technically he's a little short. I think that he should look a little bit longer, so that's my fault. But I wanted him to look both plain and very important. Silvery Little Thing is just a rapier that Knaphe picked up or was given from the ruins. Tacitus found him and passed him off to Knaphe, and she was like, I could use this. And he has been a steadfast companion ever since. Knaphe is a character who definitely relies on her weapons, both her hunter, which is either called hunter or bow, considering on the day, and Silvery Little Thing, who is a wonderful ally to her as well. Of course, Knaphe is a little bit cursed from being brought back to life over and over, and one of those side effects is she does have the gray streaks in her hair, which we can see in the outermost version of herself. I was thinking about putting it in the noble version, as well as the feral version, but the noble version of Knaphe doesn't have a gray streak because that's not sort of the ideal. When Knaphe was just mortal and was not Fey-touched, she also had blue eyes. I considered making the noble have blue eyes instead of the gold, but I thought that that would be a little bit dishonest to her. This is her situation, and this is the way that she's going to deal with it. I really enjoyed putting together this piece, and I think that the original chapter page for Witch Hat Atelier is really beautiful. It's such a wonderful character study of a character which, I mean, obviously I don't know much about, but just seeing that makes me know that the author is thinking about depth and the interest of that character in the piece. And that's honestly the kind of thing that draws me into a character and to a series, when I know that an author is thinking about the depth of their character and the things that even their character has a hard time reckoning with. So in doing this piece with Knaphe, I wanted to get across that feeling as well. I think about her and the different layers of her. Thanks to my patrons who help me make art, especially Banjo, Confocal Clips, Deator, and Fire Pit. You guys are the best. And of course, thank you. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see another video, there will be one on screen. Please like and subscribe. And of course, if you like what I do, support me on Patreon. And remember, it's all gonna be okay. I'll see you next time.